Good morning, comrades. It is Thursday. All right, it is the 20th of May, 2021. This is your daily Good Morning, Comrade. What is going on, folks? How are we doing today? Uh, yeah, we got a little bit of exciting news to go with. But yeah, got the
A
Hold
group of
on.
progressive House Democrats, led by
Let's get started.
Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, introduced a
What's going on
resolution
here?
aimed at blocking a
Whoa, hold on a second.
735.
Whoa. The stories are just trying to all tell themselves all at once. That's like ruining the flow. What's going on here? I even like what is up? Why do I look so whited out? Like light too bright? What is going on here? Good cool morning. It's cool out there, y'all. So G Wolf, how that y'all are getting your butts kicked by the weather, huh? It's been like a really wild, really intense sort of storm. They really want to talk. I know, right? What's up the hill? Why is your website just all of a sudden deciding to load stories all of a sudden? Anyway, I did want to catch this. I didn't see this yesterday because this happened before we went on air, but this is again on the Palestine issue, which is just something that keeps popping up. It's such a huge deal right now because I mean again the Biden administration just approved. Well, we're going to get into the amount of money that the Biden administration is approving to continue to bomb Palestine. But in the meantime, let me turn this light down. Holy shit. That's better. That's better, right? I look okay. I don't look that bad. Do I? Do I look that bad? Do I look that good? So I'm fishing for a compliment here, folks. I need people to tell me that I'm beautiful. Jesus. What is happening? All right, that's good. That's good. That's gonna have to do. That is gonna have to do. Unless would this be better? Okay, that's a lot better. That's thank you so much. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. All right, that's a lot better. Yeah, that looks good. All right. I had my other camera. I've been messing with my cameras. I'm I don't so I've had this problem, and part of the reason I use like the software that I use is because I like everybody else in their show on their stream or whatever uses Streamlabs, and like I guess my computer's too shitty to run Streamlabs or something. Um, or like either that or like the cameras that I use, which are pretty common, like Logitech cameras, just like don't work with OBS. I think it's just my computer's too shitty, but they always sort of like flip out and freak out and all these other things. So I kind of can't stream. I'm even more beautiful. Thank you. Oh, beautifuler. Thank you so much. But yeah, so I just have to use this software, which I kind of it sucks because I have to pay for it. So I'm trying to figure out a solution. I might and what I've kind of like narrowed things down to was my video card. And my video card sucks. So that's a huge problem right now because video cards are just insanely expensive. There's just like this shortage of chips. There's this whole thing going on where nobody can get a video card for less than like $300. That's worth a shit. So that's sort of like where we're at here. Um, but yeah. So I have like the fancy software when I can do the DIY software. But anyway, I want the DIY software. Um, regardless, regardless, yeah. How we doing today? I'm just kind of surviving, kind of getting through it. It is a beautiful Wednesday morning. It's just starting to rain outside. We're supposed to get that weather that you've been getting, G Wolf, like that horrible, like blow up Texas weather. You can pick up a RTX 450 for only $600. Yeah, right, exactly. I got $600 lying around. But yeah. So anyway, here is so back on Israel Palestine deal. Israel's been bombing Palestine. There seems to be no slowing down on that. And here is Rashida Tlaib, who's Palestinian herself. She has a grandmother in Palestine, approaching Joe Biden as he gets off of Air Force One. There, that happens. And then
joining me now is Democratic
Rashida Tlaib talking about Palestine on MSNBC.
Joining me now is Democratic Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib of Michigan, who is a member of the House Oversight and Reform Committee. Congresswoman, thank you so much for your time. I first want to get your reaction to what we just heard there from Raf Sanchez on the situation in East Jerusalem and the developments generally that have been playing out.
I mean, this is an apartheid system. I mean, Israel's own prominent human rights organization, B'Tselem, has declared it. Human Rights Watch has declared
Oversight and Reform Committee. Congressman, thank you so much for your time. I first want to get your reaction to what we just heard there from Raf Sanchez on the situation in East Jerusalem and the developments generally that have been playing out.
I mean, this is an apartheid system. I mean, Israel's own prominent human rights organization, B'Tselem, has declared it. Human Rights Watch has declared it. And Palestinians on the ground have been telling us for decades that their homes have been demolished, that they've been targeted, that violence has been met by Israeli-led forces under Netanyahu's racist policies. What we're really telling Palestinians fighting apartheid is the same thing being told to my fellow Black Americans across our country here and that are fighting against police brutality. There is no form of acceptable resistance to state.
And a lot of people have been making the comparison to police brutality because I think it's quite apt. And it's really nice to see that this is actually used as an opportunity to combine struggles and not like separate them.
Police brutality. There is no form of acceptable resistance to state violence, except for the denial of people's human dignity. And we need to stop. We need to stop and look at the fact that our own country is enabling it with billions of dollars every year being issued to Israel, even though they are promoting racism and dehumanization.
So to that point, the White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan spoke with his Israeli counterpart. He expressed the United States' concerns over the violent confrontations in Jerusalem. Do you think the Biden administration needs to take a stronger stance right now towards Israel for the developments that we're seeing there?
Absolutely. We need to
hold the flyest ass jackets too, by the way. Like when I met her about a year ago in New Orleans, it was like April. And she was still wearing a fly ass jacket. Let me see if I can find a picture.
So to that point, the White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan spoke with his Israeli counterpart. He expressed the United States' concerns over the violent confrontations in Jerusalem. Do you think the Biden administration needs to take a stronger stance right now towards Israel for the developments that we're seeing there?
Absolutely. We need to hold the international human rights laws that are saying to our folks across the country that they have to abide by. Well, why not Israel? Why not saying to Netanyahu currently, who is, running on anti-Arab rhetoric consistently, accepting violence by allowing Israeli police and military forces to side with Israeli citizens who are literally physically throwing people out of their homes. U.S. taxpayer dollars should not be used to commit human rights violations. That needs to be said. I have yet to hear anybody from the Biden administration declare that our money will not be used to degrade, to dehumanize, and to kill or evict people out of their homes.
So let's talk about the role of Congress for a moment. Members of your party have been very critical on social media of what the Israeli government is doing to Palestinians. Do you think there is a bigger role for members of Congress and certainly among American politicians to actually translate these words that we're seeing on social media to actual action on the ground?
Absolutely. I mean, we're going to see more and more of my colleagues. I mean, right now, 75% of them, about over 300 of them, did sign a letter to say we're going to support Israel unconditionally, even though we're seeing children on the ground dying. We're seeing people completely being stripped of their homes, their human dignity. And look, Ayman, for me, this is very personal. My mother grew up in Palestine during occupation. My grandmother still lives there. I have seen them going through checkpoints. I have prayed with my grandmother.
Really just laying out the American-Palestinian experience in a lot of ways. Like explaining that, her family she's seen it. Her family has gone through the checkpoints and all these other things. So like, this is very, very extremely real to Rashida Tlaib.
I have seen them going through checkpoints. I have prayed with my grandmother at the Alaska Mosque. And I'm telling you, I mean, you kneel down and you have nothing. You're just praying to God, and especially during the holy month of Ramadan. I can't express to my colleagues, speak up. We cannot allow this kind of direct attack using our own money. When are we going to speak up against this kind of brutality? Enough is enough.
Congressman, allow me to switch topics for a moment while I have you. I wanted to ask you about Wednesday's hearing with former President Trump's defense secretary and acting attorney general at the House Oversight Committee, which you're a member of. The hearing is on the events surrounding the January 6th insurrection. What are some of the lingering questions that you hope to have answered?
I think it's important for many of the folks listening. And look, we saw what kind of presence there was of Capitol Police and kind of militarization from Black Lives Matter protests, civil rights protesters, those fighting for access to women's health care. We did not see that kind of presence when it was very clear that white supremacist groups came to harm members of the United States Congress, came to basically attack our democracy. And so my question is, why is there such a lack of courage or political will within these agencies that seem to show up when there are folks that look like me protesting against inequality, against police brutality, and so much more issues that are, the ills of our society. But when these folks are very clear, not only on social media, but when they showed up, from not only erecting literally hanging and saying they're going to lynch colleagues, hunting down the Speaker of the House. Why wasn't there the same type of approach that we saw in the past, again, with people of color and others that are fighting, maybe it be freedom, access to healthcare, or to saying enough with racial injustice in our country? And so for many of myself and many of my colleagues, we ask the questions constantly, why? Why was there a difference? Why wasn't there the same kind of presence on January 6th?
If we can talk about Michigan politics for a moment, part of your district includes your home city of Detroit, obviously. The police chief there, James Craig, a Republican, just announced that he's retiring. He is expected to launch a challenge to Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer, who's up for re-election next year. He has been, he's running as a Republican, obviously. He has been critical of your statements on policing issues across the country. What do you make of his potential candidacy?
Well, I've had deep disagreements with
really quickly. This is unrelated to some degree, but Gretchen Whitmer was literally plotted against. There was a plot, and she's not she's a centrist, kind of a slay queen, identity Democrat in a lot of ways. But she's not the worst, I guess you could say. She's not great. However, and I could be wrong on this, just to be 100% clear. I'm not super big on Gretchen Whitmer, but the idea that militia tried to attack and kidnap Gretchen Whitmer, and then a cop is running against her now is interesting.
What do you make of his potential candidacy?
Well, I've had deep disagreements with the chief, and he knows it. And so many of my constituents I serve have said the same thing. From spending millions of dollars on racist facial recognition technology to brutalizing people who are exercising their First Amendment right to proclaim that Black lives do indeed matter in our country. No matter his next moves, he's going to have to answer why he took those actions and why, after spending all of those resources, our resources, on over-policing and broken racist technology, do people continue to feel unsafe in the city I represent? I hope this creates a conversation, not only nationally, but also right here at home in the city of Detroit, about what it does really feel like to feel safe in our communities, because what we've experienced in the last 8 years under his leadership is a Detroit Police Department chief that will go towards Fox News for right-wing talking points versus to actually hear its constituents and his residents who are saying we feel unsafe.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube.
All right. So we have Rashida Tlaib laying it out. Then what? Selma Hayek? What? No. What? No, don't look at this. Don't look at that. Don't. That did not
A group
happen.
of progressive House Democrats led by Representative Alexandria
Here is,
Ocasio-Cortez.
AOC. Here is AOC. A report by The Hill of her leading an effort to block the arms sales of $735 million to Israel, which they use to fund their airstrikes, their Iron Dome, their police, tear gas, rubber bullets, all that stuff we saw yesterday.
A group of progressive House Democrats led by Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez introduced a resolution aimed at blocking a $735 million arms sale to Israel. The resolution is largely symbolic, as Democratic leaders who support the sale are unlikely to give the legislation a vote, and the window for lawmakers to force a vote to block the sale closes in a couple days. But the effort underscores the growing divide among Democrats on Israel as a bloody crisis in Gaza continues.
New York Times, one of the most powerful media outlets.
Yeah, this is what she said. For decades, the U.S. has sold billions of dollars in weaponry to Israel without ever requiring them to respect basic Palestinian rights. In so doing, we have directly contributed to the death, displacement, and disenfranchisement of of millions. Ocasio-Cortez, in a statement announcing the resolution of disapproval. At a time when so many, including President Biden, support a ceasefire, we should not be sending direct attack weaponry to Prime Minister Netanyahu to prolong this violence. Yeah, you can't call for a ceasefire and at the same time call for the end of hostility, or I'm sorry, you can't call for a ceasefire and at the same time fund one of the sides that are firing, the big side that's firing, Israeli side, because that's basically saying, yeah, yeah, here's a bunch of money, but like, please, will you please stop, murdering these children and civilians? We're gonna give you the money anyway, but please stop. Pretty please with sugar. So yeah, that's a problem. Yeah, I don't know what, I had a different link on there. I guess it got changed. I want, it was supposed to be Biden addressing Rashida Tlaib, but I can just sort of sum that up, I guess. But let's continue here. In addition to Ocasio-Cortez, the effort is being led by Representatives Mark Pocan, great representative, Rashida Tlaib, we know how good she is, Cori Bush, Betty McCollum, I'm not super familiar with her, Ayanna Pressley, been very, very good during this, Ilhan Omar, Pramila Jayapal, and Andre Carson. The Biden administration notified Congress on May 5th that it approved selling Israel $735 million in weapons, mostly Boeing-made joint direct attack munitions that can turn so-called dumb bombs into precision-guided missiles. So you can more effectively attack people's homes with these precision-guided missiles. Isn't that fantastic? Most arms deals are subject to a 30-day congressional review period. I mean, so they're going to at least like bring up the question. And again, this is something that doesn't always happen. They don't all like Congress doesn't always question the president sending military arms to anybody, much less Israel. So we're actually in a somewhat of a interesting sort of period that, I've never seen before. There's been a considerable swing in not just, media coverage, public opinion, but there's also some support in Congress for changing the approach to Israel so that we're not supporting people or a country not that is murdering civilians and murdering children. So that's a good development, even if this fails, which it likely will. That's okay. Oh yeah, definitely. If you can watch on Twitch, please do. We're trying to get trying to get a affiliate over there. This is the affiliate push. Yeah. It's long past time to end the U.S. policy of unconditional military arms sales, particularly to governments that have violated human rights. Ocasio-Cortez, Pocan, Tlaib wrote to fellow House Democrats seeking co-sponsors for the resolution in a letter, a copy of which was obtained by The Hill. The United States should be prioritizing humanitarian aid and upholding human rights, not rushing through arms sales that could fuel further violence. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good rhetoric there. That's a pretty good way of putting it. So I mean, again, some people, especially over the past couple of months, who may very seriously and genuinely care about Medicare for all, and I do too, have been giving a lot of grief to people like AOC for not forcing a particular vote. I think if she had done that, she would not be in the position that she's in to organize people on side for this. Now, could I be wrong on that? Yes, but I think that it's important to remember that there's a lot of stuff going on, and this is something that we really need to be particularly strong on right now. All right,
Bella Hadid.
Here is also, this is from Novara. Bella Hadid is a celebrity, and she has been very vocal in favor of Palestine. So let's take a look at this video from Novara and see what we got going on.
Bella Hadid is one of the world's most successful supermodels. She's also Palestinian American and one of the most high-profile advocates for Palestinian rights in the United States. This has made her a target of Israel, and specifically the official Twitter account for the State of Israel, which this weekend claimed Hadid had advocated throwing Jews into the sea. When celebrities like Bella Hadid advocate for throwing Jews into the sea, they are advocating for the elimination of the Jewish state. This shouldn't be an Israeli-Palestinian issue. This should be a human issue. Shame on you. Hashtag Israel under attack. Now, this is a really, really serious accusation. Now, Bella Hadid, she has 42 million followers, by the way. If she told her 42 million Instagram followers that Jews should be thrown into the sea, I mean, she should obviously be rightly condemned, and presumably she'd lose, a lot of her modeling contracts and sponsorship deals. And this is a very, very extreme accusation. Now, the problem is she didn't say it. The video that the Israel account was linking to, the screenshot.
Yeah. She was saying that the very common chant that you would see during Palestinian, solidarity protests, which is "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free." But yeah, that there's a lot of bad. I mean, we mentioned what happened with Hassan Piker on his stream, and that clip chimper from TikTok the other day as well. So this is not an uncommon sort of situation for people to just be willfully misrepresented by pro-Israeli sources, specifically when they're connected to the Israeli government.
Shot they showed you was of a live stream by Bella Hadid on her Instagram. Now, it was watched live by 57,000 people, and in the video, the supermodel can be seen chanting on a pro-Palestine march in Brooklyn, New York. Let's take a look at the video. You can see if you can see what the Israel Twitter account saw in this video.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! From the river to the sea! From the river will be free! Palestine will be free! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! Palestine will be free! From the river to the sea! From the river to the sea!
Nowhere in that video did Bella Hadid advocate for throwing Jewish people in the sea. The official Israel account was called out on this, and they replied that the offending statement was at 22 seconds. At 22 seconds, Hadid said the following: "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free." That's definitely not calling for any Jews to be thrown into the sea, by the way. I mean, I think that's clear enough. But we should talk about the background to this statement.
And that's a very, very common sort of line of attack that goes out when people are critical of Israel or that are defensive of Palestine. Is they will just instantly go to "you're being anti-Semitic," which is, I mean, happened right here in Bella Hadid's case. What? Okay. I might need to take a break in a few minutes, but we'll see. You can just send me Tish. We're getting some thunder and some bad weather here, so Tish is getting a little bit nervous. So we're gonna have to maybe do a little bit of an adjustment here in the show. So let's watch the video really quickly.
Because this is a statement which is often chanted at Palestine marches and which has created some controversy. Now, there's been a long-running campaign by the Israeli government and advocates of Israel to say this is either anti-Semitic or offensive or divisive or whatever. And I want to explain why they say that and why I think it's actually a fine chant. Right. So let's look at the meaning of what it means literally. So this is a map of Israel-Palestine. So the river is the Jordan River, the sea is the Mediterranean Sea, and what people who sing this chant are saying is, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea, that includes what is now the West Bank and Gaza. It also includes what's now Israel. And why people think this is controversial is because they're saying it would mean there would be no Israel. From the river to the sea, Palestine is free. Then where does Israel fit into that story? That's how, if you're really, really reaching, you say, oh, well, where's Israel going to be? You're clearly going to throw them in the sea. That's why you've mentioned the sea. That's the reach, and that's completely ridiculous. Also, though, I mean, this doesn't even mean, to my mind, what some people say, oh, this means you're going to expel the Jews. It doesn't. It historically hasn't, and it also doesn't in the present. So essentially what that chant is saying is advocating for a one-state solution. Now, some people don't support a one-state solution. Some people support a two-state solution. That's completely fine. But it is also important to be clear what a one-state solution would mean in this context. And historically, for the PLO, for the Palestinian Liberation Organization, what it has meant is a secular democratic state where everyone has one vote, one person, one vote. There isn't a Jewish state and a Palestinian, well, there isn't a Jewish state and an Arab state. There's just Palestine. And anyone in Palestine can have one vote. Jews can have one vote. Palestinians, Arabs can have one vote. Christians can have one vote. It's a secular state. Now, this used to be the position of Yasser Arafat and the Palestinian Liberation Organization. This is what Yasser Arafat said to the UN in 1974. At this point, he was in favor of a one-state solution. So he said, when we speak of our common hopes for the Palestine of tomorrow, we include in our perspective all Jews now living in Palestine who choose to live with us there in peace and without discrimination. So it was very clear. At that point, he was backing from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. And he said, no one's going to get thrown in the sea, right? Anyone who wants to live here can live here and they can have one vote. Now, ultimately, Yasser Arafat and his Fatah faction abandoned support or abandoned their commitment, at least, for a one-state solution. They signed up to a two-state solution, but that is nowhere near being a consensus among Palestinians. You could also interpret from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, as that Palestinians will be free and have equal rights in whatever state they live in. But the one-state solution is very, very popular among Palestinians, and for good reason. They sort of say, one, we're not comfortable having an ethno-state on our historic land, whereby you have more rights if you're Jewish than if you're Palestinian, if you're non-Jewish. I think very legitimate position. And that's why they sing this song. You're not calling for anyone to go into the sea. I mean, it's completely defamatory, essentially, from the Israel Twitter account. But I also think it is important to explain what that chant means, why some people find it offensive, and why I don't think it is. Aaron, I want your thoughts on the chant from the river to the sea, but also, I mean, it's very bizarre seeing a nation state, because it doesn't say, it's not called the Israel, it's just called Israel. So it's just Israel is debating a supermodel. Like,
right,
what's that about?
Indeed.
I mean, I wonder what the signing off process is for tweets. Is there does it have to get past 3 or 4 people?
Have a poster in chief or something.
Is it just one person in bed at night tweeting from the Israel account, or they're on the toilet checking their notifications. It's quite worrying. It's no way to do diplomacy when you're in the middle of a conflict. In terms of from the river to the sea, I've actually encountered this firsthand. I was on Sky once, Sky News, and the presenter there, perfectly affable guy most of the time, a guy called Niall Patterson, Scottish, said, from the river to the sea is anti-Semitic. Do you support that? And I said, wait, hold on a sec. Where have you got this idea from? It's anti-Semitic.
Everything's anti-Semitic. Don't you understand that, Aaron? Everything that you can possibly say that is against the bombing of children in their homes and the murder of civilians is anti-Semitic, apparently. It's just how it works.
We can say there's a one-state solution. We can say there's a two-state solution within the 1967 borders. Or we can say there's a two-state solution that, is far more favorable to Israel than the 1967 kind of borders, more like today. I mean, most people would say that's not really viable as a state for Palestine, but let's just pretend it was. In all of these potential outcomes, Palestine goes from the river to the sea. I said, from the River Jordan to the sea. And again, he had this same thing. I don't know where they get these talking points from, Michael. He was like, yeah, but in the sea, it means like people will be like chucked into the sea. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? It's one of those countries which has quite, or it's a historical area which has quite, geographically specific borders. You've got the Golan Heights, you've got, to the south, north, east to west. It's quite rare in that respect, and I said, it's not in any way anti-Semitic. I mean, if somebody says something anti-Semitic, if they could say from the river to the sea and, we need to kick everybody else out, okay. But like you say, Michael, if you're going to claim that somebody is calling for genocide, you're going to need to back it up. I mean, first, it's a terrible thing to do. There should be serious consequences. But at the same time, you can't just accuse somebody of doing that lightly without any evidence. I mean, it's ridiculous. But it's even more ridiculous, like you say, the fact that it's being waged by, Israel's official Twitter account, which earlier today, that same Twitter account, Michael, it had several tweets of just rocket emojis, and you think, well, if
oh my God, that rocket tweet was absolutely unbelievable. Like, that was just it didn't count the number of deaths. It didn't say anything about how many rockets actually got through. It didn't say anything about the getting, the Alaska Mosque and the sort of, the sort of pushing out of people through there, or it didn't have anything to do with knocking people out of their homes. It only focused on the rockets, which, again, don't think the rockets are a good idea. Just to be like, to be kind of clear about it. Like, I don't think that that's helping necessarily. It's hard to tell people who are, being removed from their homes don't do it, but I'm kind of like, whatever. But again, in this scenario or in this framing, the color green is anti-Semitic, right? Exactly. But in this framing, basically it's just showing the number of rockets that have been fired. Less than 10% of those get through the Israel Iron Dome, this unbelievably technologically amazing and advanced system that literally shoots rockets out of the sky. Amazing. And it has nothing, it doesn't say anything about the number of people that have been injured or murdered by the rockets. Because it gives you the idea that the disparity of casualties is the other way around than from how it exists. I mean, over 200 Palestinians have been killed, and over a dozen children have been killed in this entire thing. I don't have the numbers in front of me. Sorry. I should keep myself updated on this, but I'm behind. But anyway, that's what becomes important, and it's wild.
Donald Trump, in the middle of negotiations with North Korea, was doing loads of rocket emojis. He was suspended from Twitter. What has to happen for the Israel account to be suspended from Twitter? Completely absurd. But look, you expect a measure of propaganda from a Twitter channel trying to advance what it perceives as a nation state's self-interest. You don't expect that from media. We've seen that same inaccurate, incorrect claim repeated time after time. Like I say, I was subject to it personally on Sky News, and it's not acceptable. if you're a journalist, you can't just take a statement which doesn't say what you claim it does and then make accusations against people of supporting genocide. I mean, it's really infantile and childish and really belittles hugely important matters, including genocide, by the way. My God. You know, if there is a genocide, how's the media ever going to report on it properly? If you get something like Rwanda in the mid 1990s, or if you get something like the Shoah, and from the 1930s all the way through to 1945, these are hugely important matters. They have to be taken more seriously than anything else in journalism, and yet they're kind of just thrown out there quite lightly, as if it's accusing somebody of having bad taste in clothes. No, if you're going to say that, if you're going to accuse somebody of that, you need some evidence.
Yeah. So very good, very, very good coverage by Navarra. Check them out. You got a lot of videos today, but that's just kind of how today's going to go. This is very exciting, actually. So we've been talking on this program about the Valley Labor Report, about the striking workers out at Warrior Met in Central Alabama, and the fundraiser that our friends over at Valley Labor Report are be holding, this sort of like strike fest to raise money for the striking mine workers who have been out of work for going on 8 weeks now. This program will be participating in that. I just talked with Jacob yesterday. We're going to be appearing at 8:30 in the morning Central Time on Saturday, which I think we'll probably do something like a dual stream of our program and that program. We'll figure out the specifics as we go. Maybe I might have to, drop off of air for that, and I'll probably, give another announcement at the end here. But also Bo the Fifth Column is actually he's got 607,000 subscribers. He's got a lot of clout online. He's showing his support for this too. Take a look. He's talking about striking mine workers in Alabama.
Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So today we're going to talk about miners and barbecue. It's something y'all can do this weekend.
I love that he says that it's like about miners and barbecue and something we can do this weekend. That's a good framing. I love barbecue. I'll tell you what.
Miners and barbecue. It's something y'all can do this weekend if y'all want. Right now, you have a whole bunch of talking heads running around talking about how Americans don't want to work. They'd rather just sit home. There are some miners in Alabama. Back in 2016, the mine they worked at, it went into bankruptcy. So they made a bunch of concessions, took pay cuts to help keep that mine afloat so they could work. Now, it's 2021, and they're trying to get better paying conditions, because to hear the miners tell it, management's just gotten even worse, penalizing them for getting sick, all kinds of stuff. So they're on strike. United Mine Workers of America.
Tom Morello will be there. That's exciting too. Oh my gosh.
In Brookwood, Alabama. They're on strike. They've been on strike for more than a month, well over a month. It's 1,100 miners. When you're talking about 1,100 people on strike, that's a big deal. That is a big deal.
I like the way that Bo frames these things. He puts them in very sort of like, understandable terms.
One of the things they need is a strike pantry. That's places where the miner's family can get food, That's something that's kind of needed. So the Valley Labor Report, starting on Friday, running through Sunday, is going to have a live stream. It'll be available on YouTube and over on Twitch. And they will be raising money to help them out. Now, on Saturday, May 22nd, starting at noon, Alabama Strike Fest starts. There will be music, hundreds of pounds of barbecue, comedians. Drew Morgan will be there. And he'll explain to a lot of y'all why y'all are probably afraid of the wrong Southern accent. The suggested donation is $20. If you are a member of UMWA, it's free. If you cannot make it to the live stream, if you cannot get there in person, there will be a link down below so you can donate directly. Sadly, I can't make it to the in-person event. I've tried everything I could to adjust some stuff, but it's just not going to happen. And I feel a little guilty about it, to be honest. But this is something, when we talk about working class people looking out for each other, this is a moment to do that. This is a time when you can make a real impact. Even if you are on the other side of the country, there's a way to help. These fights that organized labor engages in, they really do benefit everybody. Because when wages get raised for the unions, it incentivizes other companies to raise wages in the area. It really does help everybody.
Yeah.
Showing a little bit of support here is not only the neighborly thing to do. I mean, there's also an element of self-interest. So right now, with everything going on, you have a bunch of miners, people who engage in some pretty hard work, who are more than willing to work. They just want a fair shake. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure that everybody in the country can relate to that. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.
Yeah, well, that's really great, you know, and you know, I mentioned to Jacob, like, wow, this is pretty cool. You got like Bo the Fifth Column, getting support, and he said, yeah, that's why we got a giant spike in donations. They've raised already over $3,000 for mine workers, probably more by this point. But we definitely need to keep that going. And you can, well, let's take a look. So this is actually an article that it's a very short article. It's mostly a promotional thing that our friend Kim Kelly over at, she's writing for Rolling Stone here. She's written for Teen Vogue. She did some great coverage of the Alabama Bessemer Union Drive, the Amazon Union Drive, excuse me. And she's here talking about Strike Fest. So Alabama Strike Fest planned to help striking coal miners, drive-by truckers, Mike Cooley, and Birmingham gospel punks, Lee Paynes III. The Glorifiers will headline this weekend's event. I don't know who any of these people are, by the way. I don't know anything about music, so like I'm sure that they're good. I am such a horrible. I'm very horrible when it comes to me. I know who Tom Morello is, and unfortunately he's not going to be performing, but he will be there, which is also fantastic. But anyway. Let's read from the article. More than 1,000 coal miners at the Warrior Met Coal in Brookwood, Alabama, have been on strike since April 1st. Their venture capital-backed employers seem determined to starve them out, so local supporters have argued a benefit concert to boost the miner strike fund and support their ongoing fight against the bosses. The Alabama Strike Fest will kick off at noon on Saturday, Monday, May 22nd, in the parking lot of the United Mine Workers of America, Local 2397. That's in Brookwood. The event has a $20 suggested donation, but is free for mine worker members and their families. It will also feature drive-by truckers, Mike Cooley, Birmingham gospel punks, like all those bands, like I said before, and mine workers themselves. Drew Morgan, apparently, I don't know, I guess he's a comedian. I didn't watch the new Powerwolf video that came out this morning. No, is it good? I don't know what Powerwolf is. Drew Morgan, Well-Read Comedy Tour of the Well-Read Comedy Tour, and DJ Lewis, free barbecue and chili will be provided. If you live in the area, please go check it out. If you live within driving distance, please go check it out. Alabama Strike Fest is part of a weekend-long fundraising drive by the Valley Labor Report, a weekly talk radio show that focuses on worker struggles and will be live streamed on their YouTube page and Twitch channels. All funds raised by the concert and live stream will go directly to the Mine Workers District 20's Strike Aid Fund, with the organization also accepting individual donations. You can donate at this link that I am dropping right now in the chat. Help them out, folks. We're all generations deep Alabamians, love Alabama more than any place, and try to support the people of Alabama however we can. Lee Baines III tells Rolling Stone. We've been working on a record for the past year and a half or so that deals with Alabama's people's history and how much that has to do with the way organized labor has enriched and championed the lives of our people here. United Miners helped build our hometowns of Birmingham, Bessemer, and the surrounding areas, and we're on the front lines of struggles for workers' rights, integration, children's rights, and incarcerated people's rights, he adds. There is a deep, rich history of Alabamians fighting against power structures for themselves and each other, and it's so inspiring and galvanizing to see Alabamians reclaiming that heritage. Incredible, incredible stuff. It's great that there's getting so much eyeballs, so much attention on this. This is great because we can raise money to help these mine workers so that they can keep going strong. And honestly, that gives them leverage in negotiations. So the more money that they raise, the better the outcome can be. This is good stuff, folks. Like, seriously, if you can be a part of this, if you can give $5, if you can give $10, if you can give $100, like, please definitely do that so that these people can, one, feed their families, two, get essentially get the support that they need and the leverage that they need to actually get some concessions out of the boss here. So this is good and important stuff that we need we need to be supporting these folks. That's all there is to it. Here is there's a Facebook page that you can check out. I'll drop the link for that. Boom. On Facebook. There it is. Gosh, I hate Facebook links. And also, that's pretty much it for that. Go if you can, watch online if you can't. Definitely show your support here's the ticket link. I'm just going to be spamming links in the chat. Also, who did this art? That's really good. I like this art that they did for the poster. Food by Alabama AFL-CIO's Barbecue Pit Masters Chili Cookers. Wow. I remember I was talking to David last week on the show. He's one of the hosts of Valley Labor Report. He was saying that they roped him into to doing a lot of the cooking. I guess, is he Alabama's AFL-CIO's Barbecue Pit Masters Chili Cookers? Is that him? Let's see. In the long run, of practice of solidarity proves much more advantageous to the species and the development of individuals endowed with predatory inclinations. Now, there you go. Alabama Strike Benefit Concert and Marathon fundraising event held to support the United Mine Workers Association coal miners on strike in Alabama. For over a month, 1,100 United Mine Workers. Okay, this is something that we've already kind of gotten through. This is awesome, though. Like, I'm pretty pumped. I'm glad to be a part of it. And let me double check. YouTube cuts out the Facebook link. This is why I hate Facebook links. There's nothing I can do about it. What, I can share it? Share. Let's try this. That should be better. That should be better. Yeah, that's better. I can see it. Yeah, that's the Facebook link. But yeah, that's gonna be that's what's going on. Yeah, cool. Good. Good. Yeah, I love this poster that they got. That looks really cool. It looks really good. I'm here. Yeah, I'm here to support mine workers, folks. This is a pro mine worker show. It's a pro worker show. We're here for workers, just sort of in general. We're glad to see that they're getting coverage. Hopefully, they raise so much money. Maybe they'll raise enough money so that the workers can buy the Warrior Met facility. That's pie in the sky shit, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Yeah. So I guess we're hitting the top of the hour. I think that's kind of all I have for today. That's pretty much the show. Thank you for watching. We had more viewers than usual today, which is great. We're actually seeing that number slowly climb up. And like I said before, we are kind of in the middle of a little bit of a affiliate push for Twitch. That might mean some changes to the show as things go forward. But as of right now, if we keep getting, if you're going to watch the show, even if you can watch the show on Twitch, please do it that way, just so that we can get, we have more options and what to do. Also, if you would like to support this show, you can support us on patreon.com/Good Morning Comrade, where you can give us, small donations. We want to get to our goal of 25 patrons. We're not quite halfway there yet, but we do want to get there soon. And like I say, maybe by next week I'll have whatever the incentive for the goal will be. I really like, if you have any ideas about what you want it to be, go ahead and post it in Discord. Maybe we could do like like some kind of a social, like a hangout or something. Whatever it is, just let me know. We can make it happen. What do you want from me, people? But if you want to be a part of our Discord community, we have a growing Discord community. It is it's in its early stages, but it's growing. Discord community, you can follow this link, which I am posting in the chat, to be a part of that. But yeah, patreon.com/Good Morning Comrade. I will see you later. Have a great day. Goodbye.